Hey, welcome back to Business 150, Introduction to Management. This is now our 7th and last video in module number 9 and our look at human resource management. As you can tell from this title slide, this very last video is about diversity and best practices. And so as we close up this brief look at the topic of HR, human resource management, we're going to look at kind of where we're at today. What are the things that for today and tomorrow you need to be aware of to really excel with your interaction with human resources management? And so at the end of this video, we hope that you will be able to explain the importance of diversity in an organization and discuss some of the contemporary best practices in HR that we're seeing today. So, first of all, let's talk about the topic of diversity. Diversity is what? Employees from different cultures, different backgrounds, different histories along any dimension that you want to talk about, whether we're talking about race, gender, sexual orientation, culture, socioeconomic, level of education. We're talking about employees from different backgrounds. And those employees will have unique insights, different from others who are not from their dimensional group, whatever dimension you're talking about. Having unique and different insights helps the organization succeed. It is a death knell when everyone in an organization sees things exactly the same way. Because quite frankly, the marketplace that an organization deals with is full of consumers who do not see things the same way. And so having a monolithic perspective or framework on the marketplace, on what consumers need, is simply unhelpful and will sabotage your success over the long haul, if not the short haul. So, diversity, having employees from different backgrounds and cultures with different and unique insights, is a recipe to help you continue to succeed in today and tomorrow's marketplace. You see there's a second bullet point. Diversity in the workforce helps companies to understand their customers better and create improved ways of developing relationships with them. This presumes, of course, and this is a cleverly worded little bullet point, it presumes that you are actually looking to develop a relationship with your customers. What? A relationship? Don't I just want them to buy my product? Yes, and I want them to not only buy my product once, but to buy it again and again, and most importantly, to tell their friends and families and neighbors and everyone around them that they are buying my product regularly, enjoying my product always, and suggest that they try my product, right? So yes, of course you are looking to develop a relationship with your customers. And the key to that is, well, the key of any relationship, whether it's casual, whether it's business, whether it's close, whether it's not, is understanding your customers. And this is one of several areas, one of the primary areas where diversity becomes useful to the organization. In addition, diversity also helps to create better tolerance among employees as they continually interact with coworkers from different backgrounds. It just doesn't work to have decision makers who are intolerant of other people's perspectives. And so having people, decision makers, regularly rub shoulders, interact, cooperate, compromise, work together with employees from different backgrounds helps to create a more tolerant decision maker. In addition, affirmative action programs are legally mandated plans that attempt to increase job opportunities for traditionally underrepresented areas of the workforce. What does that mean? It means that when, here in the United States, historically, systems have been constructed, whether deliberately or not, where systems have been constructed which systemically disadvantage certain groups. The right and just thing to do is to create solutions to mitigate those injustices, that unfairness, that systemic bias, to create solutions to long-standing wrongs, to correct what is broken and what's wrong. Affirmative action is one such program, but it's certainly not the only program in that sense. So the push to create and cultivate and help a diverse workforce flourish in your organization has multiple foundational reasons and advantages that we hope to leverage in today's marketplace. And as I've said in a previous lecture, one of the issues around diversity is that simply building a diverse workforce and then just thrusting them into the workplace only really guarantees one thing. And that one thing you can guarantee is that when you have a whole bunch of people from different backgrounds, they have more reasons than ever not to get along. They see things differently. They don't agree upon narrative and framework and how you look at the world and business and profit. You have a lot of different reasons to disagree. And this is where deliberate communication, deliberate efforts to understand where each other are coming from is important to get the very best and most from a diverse workforce. You see, it isn't simply enough to construct the diverse workforce and hope things work out. All you've done is you've put a bunch of people in the room together who have more reasons than ever not to see things the same way. What you need is programs, initiatives, workshops, training and education to help people with different viewpoints communicate with each other, tolerate and understand each other, and find mutual ground to work together towards organizational goals. That's really the key to getting the most out of a diverse workforce. But of course, the first step is building a diverse workforce and making that a priority to begin with. Now, here's a short list of some of the contemporary best practices we see in HR management today. These are not in the textbook. These are only here in this lecture deck, so you want to pay attention to this. Number one, of course, having just said that we want to build a diverse workforce for the sake of the organization, the first suggestion is to eliminate bias in recruitment, to start by eliminating bias in your recruitment and candidating process. What does that mean? It means that, first of all, accepting the fact and having a little professional humility to accept the fact that bias can unknowingly enter any phase of the recruitment process. Whenever you have human beings with a pre-existing notion of what is normal and what a normal candidate should be, what a normal candidate should look like, where they should come from, how they should be educated, etc., then you have the potential for built-in bias and presupposition to divert the process away from really truly being committed to building a diverse workforce. One of the ways you can combat that is right at the beginning, create diverse hiring teams so that the very people who are in charge of recruitment are approaching it with a set of diverse perspectives that they have found ways to tolerate, work together, and find common ground to cooperate. In addition, there are many parts of the process where you can automate the process to ensure an objective set of criteria is being used to assess and work through candidate applications. And finally, part of eliminating personal bias in recruitment means instead emphasizing and focusing on the skills and requirements that are required by the job rather than my personal feelings about a particular candidate. Number two, prioritize talent and performance management. What does this mean? It means that every decision maker and leader in the organization, every manager needs to support development rather than undermining it. Yes, financial goals still need to be met, but in the long term perspective suggests this happens best through prioritizing employee development. Second, collaborate with staff on identifying goals and methods. Rather than taking the tack that says, I'm the boss, I know what's best, no, collaborate with the folks who are actually doing the job to identify together what are goals and methods of attaining those goals that would help everyone. Make sure that you are making your goals attainable and measurable. The metrics is the secret sauce. If you cannot measure how will you know when you have actually attained those goals? You have to agree upon the scale, what you're measuring, how you're measuring it, so that those goals really are something concrete that you can reach. In this, as you're prioritizing talent and performance management, you have to really get a good understanding of the specifics of motivation. Employee motivation, and we've talked about that a couple of modules ago, but I mean really digging deep into, in this specific company, in this job, with these specific people, what is actually driving them. You have to get to know them and their specific motivation to know whether or not you have made goals and rewards attractive as well as attainable. And finally, one of the real key issues in communication is, quite frankly, leaders do not give enough feedback. This is true in virtually every organization in the United States. Leaders and managers simply do not regularly give enough feedback for their employees to be able to assess how am I doing and where might I improve? Where might I get better the next time? Part of this is because many leaders and managers simply don't understand how to give feedback in an appropriate way. It comes off as either too milquetoast and mild or too harsh and too negative. But rather, giving feedback is an art. Giving feedback that inspires and motivates is an art. And many managers and leaders still need to learn how to get better at giving great feedback that empowers employees. Some other contemporary best practices in HR. Invest in learning, training, and development. Formal learning, formal training, formal development that ties training to company goals, that has built-in metrics built into the training, metrics and assessments that are built to continually equip and grow and push your employees forward in their own set of skills, their own knowledge, their own abilities. This is the kind of investment that simply pays off in both the short and the long haul. You have heard perhaps the old adage in a commercial, television commercial that was on several years ago that said, we have to invest in training our people. And of course the objection is, what if we train them and we leave? And the response is, what if we don't train them and they stay? Yes, there's always going to be some folks who, after you train them, will find what they believe to be greener pastures. But that's part of the risk of doing business. There's a far greater risk of doing business, which is, again, what if you don't train them and they stay in your company, now obsolete in their knowledge, skills, and abilities? So you have to invest in learning, training, and development. The next one there in the middle, you see, address HR compliance issues proactively. We've talked about that in the last lecture about the legal environment of human resource management. It is impossible with the volume and complexity of legal statute out there with regards to HR management. It's really impossible for a company to be 100% compliant every single day of the year, every year of a company's life. You will run into areas where statute has changed, where perhaps because of the actions, omissions, or behavior of a particular person in your organization, you may not be 100% compliant. You just got to jump on that when you realize it. When you realize you've got legal exposure, you fix that immediately. You deal with those issues proactively, and you be honest about it. Take the bitter pill early. And finally, we mentioned this as well in the module briefly on compensation a couple of decks before. And that is, as much as is possible, be fair and be transparent regarding compensation. Now, when I say transparent, of course, it certainly doesn't mean that you have a big chart posted in the break room with everybody's paycheck listed. No. What we mean is that when someone asks, what does this role make? That you are completely transparent that we pay between these ranges generally, and this is where the market is at, so that you are able to show anyone who asks within your company that we're at market rate, that we are not paying exorbitantly beyond what is reasonable, and we are trying to be transparent about this as much as possible and still respect employee privacy. In addition, it's very important for you to over-communicate with your employees that the compensation system is fair, that no one can game the system by, chumming up with the boss or by being somebody's nephew. That no, the compensation system is built to be fair and equitable and objective based upon actual performance, actual skills and abilities rather than personal bias. Well, we hope that this has been helpful as we sum up Module 9 for you, that you have a better idea why diversity is so important in the organization today, and what are some of the contemporary best practices to follow in human resource management. Well, this concludes the module number 9, and again, we want to tell you this is a huge topic. This is an area where many folks will choose to spend their entire careers and major and become certified and get their degree in HR management. It's a big field, and there's so much to study and learn and get on top of. We've touched on just a brief survey of some of these topics, more of it, of course, in the textbook. I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has opened perhaps some of our eyes, and we realize a little better what really happens when we see a role or a job opening advertised that we apply for, or when we are hired on by an employer. What are some of the larger considerations the organization needs to make, and in some cases is required to make when they bring employees on? Hope this is helpful. We'll see you in the next module.